at least every other visit to Colonial Williamsburg. We like to drop in and explore the art museums. And no matter how many times we're here, there's always something new to discover. Like this, a 1792 silver medal given to American Indian leaders by the federal government as a symbol of respect. This one, engraved with George Washington sharing a peace pipe with an Indian who laid down his weapon.
Who's that guy?
These mid-18th century sterling silver candlesticks were the inspiration behind the logo for the DeWitt Wallace Decorative Arts Museum since opening. And after many hours spent producing my recent documentary on the Golden Ball, it was exciting to see the potential handiwork of James Craig.
It says Williamsburg's goldsmith James Craig may have made this seal's gold frame.
In a letter Washington wrote, he requested a topaz or some other handsome stone fixed in a gold socket be sent, with the Washington arms neatly engraved thereon. And it's random artifacts like this that really pique my interest. A weathered chair leg that must have been damaged and discarded, thrown into a stream flowing under Anthony Hayes' old shop. It was discovered more than 200 years later during an archaeological investigation. Then and now footage is something that will always fascinate me. A section of the museum highlighting Williamsburg's restoration years reveals what the Duke of Gloucester Street looked like in 1930 in comparison to footage filmed in 2022.
Bust of Miller Dewey.
It's like a rumor or old wives' tale or something, but like it was something about when they tucked their hand, it was like a Freemason. It was like a hidden symbol or something like that. Like it meant something.
Yeah, it was like a Masonic code or something.
I don't know if that's true or not.
What does it say?
That's not what it says.
It read, "The pose is rooted in society's views of what makes human bodies appear graceful. By the early 18th century, men and boys were urged to assume the hand in the waistcoat pose for many aspects of daily deportment, even the simple act of standing. In portraiture, this pose enabled artists to avoid limp, lifeless hands languishing in subjects' laps or hanging uselessly by their sides."
Hey, look at the cat, Sarah.
Passing through this exhibit, I noticed one of the Hansbury sisters grasping a minty peppermint stick, yet still void of smile.
You will not see broad grins that expose the sitter's teeth. In portraiture, such an extreme expression was then associated with an unbecoming lack of self-control. The painting is like straight on, no matter where you go, the eyes are looking
The eyes
at you.
follow. Yeah. It's like the mysterious thing about old portraits.
Throughout this enchanting display, you don't just view history. You experience the opulence of an era where every sip of tea and coffee was steeped in sophistication. Gleaming tea sets, intricate coffee pots, and ornate serving trays evoke a time when dining was an art form. Hosting gatherings was a refined ritual, and owning such exquisite items was a clear symbol of wealth and status. A time where the clinking of fine china and the the soft murmur of cultured conversation filled the air. But not all dialogue was so cordial, as pouring from this teapot would have suited sippers in opposition to the much protested Stamp Act of 1765 well. And as a connoisseur of partaking in warm mugs of liquid confection, this presentation came as a surprise. I learned hot chocolate originated from the Native Americans before spreading throughout the world. Prior to chocolate, coffee, and tea, cider, beer, and wine were often consumed in chalices like these. It seemed everywhere we looked, there was carefully designed metal, ceramic, and stoneware objects.
Look at that one. It's like wood and like forest.
Oh, yeah. Kind of looks like an ent.
I really, really like that one.
Lord of the Rings.
I am no tree. I am an ant.
It's like a tree teapot.
Inside this room lives the incredible works of Edward Hicks, the largest single collection of his artistic creations found anywhere in the world. Best known for his rendition of the fable of the Lion and Lamb and his series of paintings known as Peaceable Kingdom. More than 60 variations of this work of art that he brushed by the 19th century. As a member of the Society of Friends, he would later become a minister. His work as a painter and preacher would cause division in the Quaker community he was a part of. He seemed to have offset this rift by transitioning to work as a full-time artist, using each canvas he painted to express his faith and reveal a desire for peace and unity despite the split. Taken from biblical passages in Isaiah 11:6, the animals and children he painted within each Peaceable Kingdom artwork represented a messianic prophecy. He also painted historical scenes, this one of Washington, prior to dismounting and crossing the icy Delaware River to carry out a surprise attack at the Battle of Trenton. Signed by Hicks and given to a physician and dentist, as the painting's inscription reveals. The I Made This exhibition celebrates the works of Black artists and artisans of the 18th, 19th, and 20th century. The title is in reference to an enslaved potter and writer, a man named David Drake, who would inscribe phrases and claim creative conception of his own unique works, publicly displaying his literacy despite strict anti-literacy laws placed on those enslaved.
She made this quilt out of all of her dad's clothing after he passed away.
An enslaved toolmaker from Massachusetts named Caesar Chaleur, working for the first documented plane maker in the colonies, would sign his planes as seen in the plow plane housed inside a glass encasement within the exhibition. Another enslaved man, Jethro Jones, a veteran of the French and Indian War, who at one point was possibly trained by Chaleur, made his mark on this molding plane. Years later, he would go on to fight in the Revolutionary War.
Bulldog squeak toy.
Always fascinated by all of the 19th century toys found inside the German Toys in America exhibit inside the museum. This time, I was taken aback by the bird and animal life sitting atop Squeaky Bellows and wondered which one I would have wanted as a kid back then. And it's relics like this, enduring the tests of time, that completely grab my attention. This very clock movement was the one housed within the cupola of the rebuilt Virginia Capitol in Williamsburg in the 1750s. Measuring the passage of time at the heart of the clock, the cogs from the inner working of this movement would have displayed the time of day as seen by the likes of Patrick Henry, Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, and other founding fathers serving at the Second Capitol in Williamsburg. And it was the 18th century home and ornamental garden of this man that has inspired one of the most recent large-scale archaeological excavations in Williamsburg today. His composite atlas, now housed at the museum, was comprised of maps and charts spanning the entire globe, both land and sea. This portrait of Washington once hung on the wall of Major General Henry Lee, a close friend and a highly regarded officer during the Revolution. The artistic talent of Sir Godfrey Kneller, the king's principal painter, was sought out by William Byrd II to bring a portrait of himself to life. Painted in London, Byrd brought the painting to his home, the Westover Plantation in Charles City County, Virginia. An amazing place we were lucky to have explored recently. The only child of Queen Anne to survive infancy, Prince William was declared Duke of Gloucester at birth by his uncle, King William III. Williamsburg's most well-known street was named in honor of him. The exhibit shining light on the life of artist Eddie Arning was a well-warranted and touching learning experience. Arning was committed to a state hospital for symptoms of mental illness, living there for 30 years. In his late 60s, before embracing art, upon release and residing in a nursing home, he would often recreate his own interpretation of images he found in magazines. Each picture he drew was done with crayons and construction paper. And after a must-see look at the museum's weapon stash from the Revolutionary War, I remembered there were some artifacts from the original Charlton's coffee shop just around the corner.
By the holes in this original coffee house door.
So that's the original coffee house, or Charlton's coffee house door. Amazing. That is so interesting. And there's that area with the red arrow pointing right at it. Completely amazing looking at this door. If you take the time to go watch one of our latest documentaries up Charlton's Coffee House, it's very strange to know that Richard would have grabbed the doorknob, twisted the doorknob, and opened this door that stands right in front of me. Mesmerizing. And within Charlton's Coffee House video, which I'll leave a link below, you'll see this room that this wallpaper was hung on. Dining room. Yeah, this is what they would find during archaeological digs, like behind Charlton's. And that must be original brick from Charlton's Coffee House.
The bricks here show a comparison between the original Charlton's Coffee House bricks of 1750 and one made in 2009, each bearing animal footprints. A detailed presentation describe the ins and outs of what Colonial Williamsburg's blacksmiths did to make all of the locks and keys at Charlton's. Rim locks for primary doors, closet locks, and Banbury locks used in the cellar passage door were all incorporated into the restoration. The silversmiths in town helped make coffee and chocolate pots, and various ceramics were made based on actual artifacts discovered during on-site digs. Some of the items found are similar to what is described in Richard Charlton's estate inventory after his death. One floor below the original 1752 circular window frame from Bruton Parish Church, the instrumental sound of music could be heard inside Heneage Auditorium. And just outside its doors, we wandered the room, fascinated by all of the musical relics that filled the final exhibit we'd explore on this enlightening day at Colonial Williamsburg's art museums. A day of exploration which enhanced our knowledge of each alluring museum artifact we had witnessed and their historical significance. Each piece whispering tales long forgotten, their stories awaiting discovery.